What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of December 20th through the 26th of 2021. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Thank you for being here. Truly appreciate you all so much. I hope you are feeling good, coming off a pretty intense full moon, Venus stationing retrograde, Chiron stationing direct. A lot of aspects to that Venus and Pluto. Definitely intense times. A lot of inward, feeling right now. It can be a lot. And then it's also sort of this, so much quickness or change happening, like kind of rapid fire. Everything's kind of getting pulled to the surface. So sending you all my best, of course. As we come into this week, this 20th through the 26th, this might be the most intense week in the astrology of the whole year. We get the third and final from Geo, exact square on Christmas Eve from Saturn to Uranus. Big deal. Of course, on Wednesday, we're going to see, the 22nd? We're going to see the moon come into Leo and activate the whole thing with big T-square energy to Uranus opposing Saturn. Yeah, it's going to be intense this week, and Venus is going to start moving in retrograde a little bit. So we've had a very stationed Venus, still moving very slow, but it's going to cross over Pluto again this week, just amplifying more of the deep dive, more of the intensity, more of the relationship aspects. Woo! What a time. And it's, of course, Christmas week. So everybody's got the hustle and bustle of Christmas going on and family. It's so ironic. I'm a Capricorn, and I think it's such a joke, and like Saturn plays such a joke on everybody in our reality at this time for having Christmas in Capricorn season. Of course, the sun's moving into Capricorn on, Tuesday, the 21st, so we get the winter solstice. That's another big deal. We'll talk about that. But it's such a joke to me that we get Christmas in Capricorn season when we're supposed to be tight and right, working on the things, initiating what we want to be responsible for, initiating destiny. It's literally the opposite sign of Cancer, which is family. So it's so funny. It's almost like, I'll be honest, like Christmas is like this is almost like the week that like shatters Christmas. God, I feel like the Grinch for saying that. I'm not trying to be all humbug. I even have my Christmas lights going in the background. See, green to red. Yeah. So I'm not all bah humbug, but I'm in this, channel right now. And it's like, how much effort are we given to the program that we've all been indoctrinated into in the South Node's in Sag, North Node Gemini? So much truth. It's interesting too, having that North Node at 1 degree of Gemini. I've been looking at nakshatras, especially with the tropical zodiac, and moving the nakshatras from the sidereal to tropical. And guess what nakshatra the North Node came into at 3 degrees of Gemini? It came into Kritika. I don't know if you guys know anything about the nakshatras, but your boy here is taking his astrology to the next level and adding those in on tropical. Well, the nakshatra Kritika is literally the worst for family. It is the god of war energy. It is cutting. It is splitting. It's the god of fire. And it's not family energy. It's not nurturing energy. It's extremely intellectual. So we're in a very intellectual time where with the Pleiades, the stars that make up Kritika are the Pleiades. It's such a critical, analytical time to be sharp and smart. And it's not a good time for family, I'll be honest. And especially with Rahu there, the North Node of the moon, it's intense. So, I do want to say too, as we come into Capricorn season, like we got to be kind of mature and almost cold. Of course, Capricorn is Saturn. It's cold. Not as cold as Aquarius, of course, which we're in a lot of Aquarian energy. We do need to be a little bit cold this week. I think that'll be very helpful, actually. Not cold in like a mean way, or trying to repress others or repress ourselves as we come into Capricorn season, and we start to see things shrink down and constrict a little bit. But gosh, like, we need to be really smart and tapped into the mission and the destiny. And that's, I think, the karma of this Venus Pluto in Capricorn right now is it's spiritual karma too. And especially since they're meeting at 25 degrees, this is the highest degree of like the mystical part of Capricorn. This is the Neptune and Capricorn. This is the mystical sea goat area. So like, yeah, it's the goat putting the work in, getting to the top of the mountain, striving for greatness within ourselves. But we're having to figure out the mystical side and go within to do that. And this Venus retrograde, of course, is helping with that, but it's crossing over Pluto again, and it's pulling a lot to the surface that we really need to inwardly look at. And as we look at the Taurus energy that's in the chart right now, and just the Venus Pluto, which is intense about our values, and having to like let go, let things go away. The more we hold on, the harder the universe rips things away. So a lot of it's about being smart and intellectual and in our truth this week. Whatever that may mean, I'm not saying, don't do stuff with family, don't do the holidays, but whoa, this is not easy energy to be living through for family energy, for Christmas. It can still be great, of course, but it comes back to your environment. What kind of environment are you in? Are the people in your environment with you? Are they seeing clearly? Are they seeing truth? It's definitely, it's edgy. And that's Kritika too. The sharpness, the edge that we're having to live through right now. And we almost need to use that energy because the North Node's there. We want to go into that. But it is also the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters, the light, the Archangel Michael energy. So much of this is taking us out of prior programming. It's taking us out of old, outdated beliefs in life so that we can justify in many ways and be the judge here of Capricorn with Saturn, which is also, of course, exalted in Libra. So we don't forget that Capricorn is really the judge, makes the decisions. We have to make big decisions for our truth and the environment we want. And it's so important as we're getting this intense Venus Pluto, which Venus rules Taurus, and the other retrograde planet right now is Uranus in Taurus, and it's getting squared by Saturn in Aquarius. Jupiter's going to come to 29 degrees of Aquarius. Edge is like what comes through. This is such an edgy week. This is where, especially coming into Capricorn season and having a Mercury there, we're starting to build up a nice little assembly of planets in Capricorn. When it comes to politics, and when I brought up repression, when it comes to constriction, consolidation, we're at a point where we're about to see what all that looks like. And of course, when these nodes came into Gemini Sagittarius, that was not too long after, this whole pandemic, if you will, how I look at it, was started. And now we're about to see the final roll call of what's coming out next and what's setting the stage for 2022. Like, we're really, 2021's done. That full moon in Gemini was the end of the year. It's a new start pretty much now. We just had a big release of like the whole year almost. And so many things are chipping away, shattering in life right now so that we can see the truth, so that we can see the beauty that we can step into, the beauty within ourselves. And like I said about the Taurus energy, I keep coming back to that. It is, especially with the Venus retrograde, it is the relationship to self. It is feeling secure within ourselves. It is having a strong bond to what we need to feel good. But it's not about expecting it from the outside world. It's not about expecting it from other people. The more we put expectations on anything outside of us, we're going to be shattered. We're going to be... And Uranus is cold, and Saturn is cold. It's very intense times. And, when it comes to governments, we're going to start to see some real totalitarian moves that we've already been seeing, of course. It's not like we haven't seen the stages of this build up, but we're definitely going to see more of it. When Jupiter came back into Aquarius at 29, 28 degrees, that was when the rug got pulled out from under everybody that got the shot. Everybody that, wanted to do the thing that they were told so that they could get their life back and go back to normal. That normal doesn't exist anymore. And this is such a prime time to dedicate yourself to the path that you want to go on. It's the path less traveled. It's not normal. Anything normal right now is not going to take us very far. And those are the things that are just going to constantly get chipped at and chipped at and chipped at this week, so that you can see another way, so that you can build that strong relationship to yourself and the capacity within yourself to know that you can build and you can dedicate. And we have to be mature as we come into Capricorn season. Of course, we hit the winter solstice this week. And the beautiful part of the winter solstice is that, yes, it's the shortest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, but from this moment forward, December 21st, which is, of course, the year anniversary of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction a year ago in Aquarius at 0 degrees, we're starting to really see where our futures are going, and that there's light that's building every day from here on out for what that mission is, for the destiny, for that relationship to yourself, how you can commit to yourself, dedicate, to have the maturity and the discipline. This is about the discipline in your life, to be sharp and critical and analytical, and to know the path that you need in your environment to thrive, to succeed, to reach higher, to reach farther, to get to the top of the mountain. But it's different ways. The next 20 years, and we're only 1 year into this Saturn-Jupiter cycle, and it's a 20-year cycle. We're 1 year in. This is like really the first steps to the new road, and they can start this week. And that's what Capricorn's trying to do, is have us dedicate to our mission, dedicate to our path, keep climbing. We don't want to give up. We might have to take some steps backward, but it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And we don't want to, guilt ourselves. We don't want to be too hard on ourselves. We definitely, like I said, it's a time to be disciplined within yourself, and to have that relationship and know that you can do it. But this is not a time to be disciplined by somebody else. So we have to look at things, especially with a Venus retrograde on Pluto. Who is trying to cut you down? Who is trying to repress you? Who is trying to discipline you or guilt you for trying to live a life that's best for you, that you feel called to, that you feel like, this is my critical mission, my understanding, my truth, as these nodes are finishing up in the truth axis. Like, our whole beliefs can change to a new truth. Truth changes from moment to moment. And now's the time to be in the moment of dedicating to your truth, of dedicating to the different, unique, beautiful, innovative ways forward that we can start to really lay some solid concrete on. Like, Capricorn is concrete, it's iron, it's steel. Like, we can really firm up in our life for what it is that we really need, what it is we really want, what the calling is. I feel like so many of us feel such an intense calling right now. And sure, there could be people in our lives or relationships that don't get that don't understand, that are really, not a player in the game. Like, I feel like that's the split in the collective, is there's people trying to play a bigger game right now that involves spirit and source and what the mission is. And then there's people that are just really, they're not playing the game. They're just part of your game. And I'm not saying that to cut people down, or I'm not saying that to try and get anybody on a high horse. It's not that at all. It's just realizing, like, you have to be the main player in your story, in your game, for your mission, for your destiny right now. And if there's ever a time to initiate that destiny and to pay attention and be responsible, it is this week. It's this week. And it's so intense, and it's so beautiful at the same time, because we can be finding so much inner power, so much. I mean, there's a lot of power right now. Like, that's the crazy part, is people could be finding so much inner strength to make their life more beautiful based on what their mission is. But it's like, are you following the mission? And I think many people are, and the mission's different for everybody. For some people, it could be starting a spiritual business. For some people, it could be just being a good parent. Capricorn is that energy too of like parenting, and what are you responsible for, and who are you supporting. For other people it could be starting to write something, to put more content out, like whatever it is that calls to you. Maybe it's art. It's like your mystical calling is just asking to be initiated right now, and to not feel like wounded for it, or to not feel less than, but to see all that deep goodness that's really in there. But we're seeing, we're going to see so many people come back in, and even Venus retrograde in itself is like, you got to come back in and build that relationship to yourself and really individuate. Like Venus retrograde, I was born with it. If you have Venus retrograde in your chart, you were meant to individuate yourself, to come back to yourself, build a strong relationship before you can really have good relationships outside of self. They're always going to be a little off until you did the work on yourself. Always. That's why it's hard to relate when you have a Venus retrograde, and then it will progress direct, and that changes. But this is as a collective right now, about building relationships, about really the relationship to yourself and transforming your life for, there's dharma here. There's destiny. And we can't relate to other people on that high of a plane until we've related to ourselves on that high of a plane. And with Uranus and Taurus, it's the same thing. Like we're having to really individuate to our values, to what makes us feel good, to not conform. We have to be non-conformists to the value and the belief and the story that is going to be projected on us. This week's going to have something's coming out. Last month, of course, for Thanksgiving, it was Thanksgiving morning or the day after Thanksgiving that they dropped the Omicron virus on everybody, right when everybody's chilling, having a good time with family. Oh, get scared. Be scared. Of course, so many of you are not scared, and, you see it go on in the world, but it doesn't have to, we don't have to take that on. We're not going that way. That's where the South Node's going. Just in January 18th. And January 18th is the same day Uranus stations direct in Taurus. It's like, okay, we've done enough inner work by then to start moving forward for our values, and to not be in fear, but to be in beauty. Taurus is a beautiful sign for creativity. It's almost like we have to cut things out so that we can really manifest, so that we can really create beauty in our life. And it's not going to be based around fear. It's not going to be based around manipulation. It's got to be unique. It's got to be right to you. You have to feel it. Like we're coming into a feeling axis. So we're finishing up in such a heady time, a heady axis, where we've had to understand and come to a very critical moment in our lives of what that means and where it's going, and how are we shattering the old system in our lives so that we can thrive. If you're not thriving right now, you need to be more rebellious. You need to experiment even for what your life can be. And I think Saturn Uranus is about taking calculated risk. It's about doing something that makes sense to you, that's out of the box, that's not conforming. If you're going to conform to any experiment that's not your own, it's sketchy with that transit. And like I said, Wednesday with that moon coming into Leo and it's going to activate. So even before we get the exact hit on Christmas Eve, 2 days prior, we get the real activation of it. So, be careful out there if you're traveling. I know people want to travel. That South Node's in Sag. It is just not an ideal time for long distance travel, international travel. I get it. We got to do what we got to do. And if you feel like it's part of the mission, then it is. But, and that's the thing too with the Capricorn energy that we're in. If it's about the mission, it's all going to work out just fine. But it's knowing the mission, feeling the mission, and doing what that calling is, and not just doing things to do things. Especially for Capricorn brings up tradition. For some belief of a tradition that, astrologically, it doesn't make any sense at all, I'll be honest. But look, I like Christmas too. I like the holidays. I do. I enjoy family. But I'm just saying, from an astrological perspective, when I get into this week, it's like, oh my God, What a time. And it's almost like they're just ready to pull the rug out and really, get people in a very vulnerable position. Capricorn brings up governments. Venus is here. Money. Like, just got to be paying attention to what's coming. There's definitely there's aspects right now that are just undeniably potent for control, restrictions, rules. And they're not ones that are going to make us feel good, especially if we're relying on a system to feel good. And I think that Venus in Capricorn with Pluto is all about you going inward and not needing a system or the conformity to feel good, but to be kind of a nonconformist and to really take the next steps in this Jupiter Saturn in Aquarius, which to me is nonconformist to the max. Like, that's the big cycle that we're in, along with, of course, a Saturn Pluto, conjunction that happened January 12th with the Sun and Mercury. That's the big cycle. That's the cycle that changed this whole reality we live in. And that was at 22 degrees Capricorn, and this Venus is going to retrograde over that spot. Like, you can't make this stuff up. And then the way that I'd mentioned how Venus came into, or when the North Node came into Gemini, Venus had stationed and went retrograde just a week after. And then now we're getting Venus going retrograde in Capricorn while the North Node and the South Node are finishing in Taurus, in Gemini and Sagittarius. This whole nodal axis of beliefs in the world are getting shattered by Saturn Uranus for truth, and we have to be critical and sharp and cold. And that's why I brought up Critica, because it's not a nurturing place, and the North Node's there. Like, we need to be nurturing, of course, and love ourselves and not repress love in our life as we come into Capricorn season and start this winter solstice and go into the coldness of the winter. But it is also the coldness to know your direction right now. We got to have a plan, if you will, in Capricorn to get to the top of the mountain. We have to have something mapped out. In Sagittarius, it's kind of just like, let's go for the adventure. And then in Capricorn, we come in, we're like, oh wait, do we have a map? So we're at a place now where I think that the map is becoming more clear, and that could be very helpful. We're also going to finish off this week with a Mars trine Chiron, now direct in Aries, and I think Chiron coming direct in Aries is really good because we have to use the healing we've done on our ego and our strength to really push, and to push for freedom with a Mars here in Sagittarius. And Mars is almost going to sextile Saturn, but it's not going to make it there quite this week. But it's separating from the South Node. We're seeing, the illusions fading, and we're starting to see much more clear and much more direct. It's like the map is being, it's much more detailed. And like, yes, this is what I need to do in life to feel good. But that's the problem with this week, is we can have such a good, clear map, but we're almost like, well, screw the map. I got to go to Christmas and do something I don't maybe want to do, or get into weird situations with family. I hope that doesn't happen. I really want everybody to have a good time, and I pray that everybody does, and especially my viewers. I love you guys. I want you to thrive. I don't want you to be in weird situations with family. But, what am I going to do? I don't know how else to give you this horoscope other than to just be, real about it. It's very hard times. Like, people could be getting cut down and, disciplined for their truth right now, We're going to see Black Moon Lilith now in Cancer. It's been in Gemini for a long time, and Taurus. We've been having to deal with, thinking we're maybe a little nuts, thinking, not trusting our mind. And now we have to trust our inner self, our inner child even. We have to, feel. We can't be scared to do what makes us feel good. We can't be scared to nurture ourselves. But that's where this Venus retrograde, even and with Pluto's, like there has to be an intense urge to nurture yourself and to do the things that make you feel good, and to not be scared of feeling good. It's almost like that's where everything's going, is like there's going to be something that shows up and a rug that gets pulled out from people that makes them feel like they can't feel good by themselves. And I don't, again, I don't necessarily think that that's you guys, but we have to also have a little bit of compassion for the people in the world that they don't know what's coming. They're just trying to go about life and run their program. And the program's like, glitch, glitch, glitch. It's also interesting this week that on the 22nd, the new Matrix movie comes out. And, it comes out on the 22nd, which is the Wednesday with that moon in Leo, T-square, Uranus and Saturn in square. You can't really make that stuff up. It kind of blows my mind. And just the number 12, 22, 21, and the anagram. I think that's what you call it. That sequence. 222, 11 on the end. Radical times. Shattering of a lot of aspects in life, but really having to go within this week to define the path up this mountain, to define this destiny, to, really come to terms with your truth and your mission. And it's almost like there's a cutting aspect that we just have to cut the old story out this week. It's just got to go. And it doesn't have to go in a harsh way. Nothing about this has to be mean. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be like aggressive. But there is a little bit of aggression with Kritika even. And that war energy and the god of fire, Agni. We can't be wounded from our fire with Chiron and Aries, and the sun's going to get close to that square, but that's coming next week. But Mars is in trine. Like, we need to love our fire. We need to be able to cut into our story, into the adventure of the destiny that we want to live, and to not restrict ourselves from that. And I would say that this is a time where we could see immense restriction show up in the world. And it's like we just saw like the beginning of it. We're just getting started in, of course, this Saturn-Pluto cycle in Capricorn. It's a very restrictive time, and we're just seeing the world change for what that's going to mean. But this is also about learning how to make rules in your life. How to boss up in life, how to live your destiny, how to conform to your mission and not to some totalitarian, you have to do this, fear, because that's what the world's coming into even more. And it's hard to even imagine, right? When I think about it, it's like, wow, we've already had to go through so much propaganda of fear in this world. And, we've all seen people just scared over the last 20 months. But what is shaping up is like, and it might not be this week, but I think this week is the trigger point for some of the big fear of 2022. And how you're going to need something to get by from the government. It's going to be from the government. And if I could tell you anything, it's that you don't have to be attached to anything in life anymore. That's the karma. That's what's getting released. That's what we have to realize, is that this is about attaching yourself to your ultimate truth and cutting that away. And that's hard because of everything that we've been into up until this point in life. There's been so much indoctrination. There's been so many lies, so much deception. And I love that so much of that is out in the world. People are seeing 2020, right? People were saying 2020, clear vision, the year where it was that, you know what? That was so true. Because ever since 2020, people have seen clear. People have woke up to their truth. People have started to see through the deception and the lies in the world. And there's so many of them. And that's where it's like, wow, as long as we can not be attached and deprogram, we start to see this divine truth and this divine mission. And that's the beauty of this transformation that we're going through within ourselves right now. But with that, of course, comes the shedding of a lot of our physical things, as Saturn square Uranus with Venus on Pluto. We have to shed that story, in that program. And this is where it comes to all of us in our life. And it's people, it's relationships, it's money, it's physical aspects. And it's like, if they're not meant for your future and your destiny right now, they are going to, the universe is taking it away. But the universe could bring you something so beautiful after that. But we don't want to hold on so tight. Do you see what I'm getting at? Is like, accept transformation and change for your truth and your destiny. Whatever shows up. For some people, it could be a lot of things. That's why we want to have compassion for people, because that's hard. It's hard to let go of some things that we could love so much. For other people, maybe they've already started getting rid of some things that they felt called to. And things are, really beautiful things are trying to come in. Ultimately, what we need for our mission, the universe is going to bring us, but it just can't, our backpack up this mountain's full, for some people. And it's really about unloading the stuff that is no longer of value, that is not going to give you the substance that you need. It's like, do you really need this to get up the mountain, or do you really need a Cliff Bar for when you get, halfway up and you're hungry? Venus, Taurus, food. I don't know. I think you guys get the point. We got to be very strong and structured and mature within ourselves. Disciplined, not being disciplined, not being told what to do, not being a conformist to powers that be, but being that power. And the more we transform into our power, the more we take a road less traveled for our uniqueness, our individuality, what we really are as a being. And of course, that's unique to every different person. There's thriving energy. And it's about our environments and the people that are in our environments and the groups that we're around, whether we communicate online or whether they're right here. What energy are we keeping around that's going to the top, going on the destiny, going on the mission? This is the week to get that plan, get that map out, and initiate for that. And to not be, to not let guilt creep in. Because as things go and get taken away, or as you feel called, like you have to drop something in life, which could be showing up so much for people, we do not want to guilt ourselves right now. We do not want to, we don't want to put ourselves in like jail almost. We have to, we're really trying to liberate ourselves. This is a liberation week. And the more that we liberate ourselves, the less we're going to feel some sort of guilt because of moving on, some sort of guilt for seeing the roadmap and seeing what fits and what makes sense, and having everything put together on this, and then being like, oh, but I feel so bad about this or this person. This is the biggest week of the year, the calendar year. It's no joke. I'll show you a couple days in the astrology. Of course, I talked about this Wednesday. It's December 22nd. Of course, this is when the Matrix is coming out. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Uranus at 11 degrees. Saturn's going to come to 11 degrees, but not make that exact square until Friday morning, Christmas Eve morning. And the moon is going to come into Leo and square that Uranus, T-square, oppose Saturn. What an emotional activation in our personal lives. Building up to Christmas Eve. It's not going to feel like a normal Christmas. It's going to feel, there's shocking energy here. There's so much pressure on this shocking energy of Uranus. This electrifying, quick as lightning, something coming out of nowhere. Zap! Whoa! What's that? And there's a release to Scorpio, which we don't have anything there, but we did just have a lot of transits through Scorpio. I mean, we were drawing boundaries, and Capricorn brings up boundaries too, and we are now in Capricorn season. Like, this is about knowing your boundaries, knowing your mission, knowing your value, and not settling for less. And not being, feeling guilty or whatever because you're moving towards your passions, because you know your boundaries, because you know your power on the deepest of levels. And the emotional maturity that takes with a moon opposite Saturn to rebel in life for your light with the moon in Leo. And then all of that is about your individuated value system, and Venus is transforming that with Pluto, and Venus is going to meet with Pluto this week too. Like, you cannot make this stuff up. But Mars in Sag is starting to free itself from the South Node. It's starting to come into some clarity on the journey, to look for the excitement, to move intuitively. And it's going to trine Chiron this week too. And that's super beautiful energy in itself, because it's almost like we've done the work. We're ready to transform our life and to use that fire within us to do it. Use your fire for your individual values. Create. Make moves. Be sharp. Be smart. Got the North Node in the Pleiades in Kritika. We're cutting so much of the old story out. It's crazy. And we just can't be scared to feel secure within ourselves. Like I mentioned with Black Moon Lilith now in Cancer, and it's going to be opposing the Sun all week too. So we're already at this place of coming into like, I got a mission, I got a destiny, but then there's family. And again, I'm not trying to knock family. I have a family. I have a son. I love him. We're gonna celebrate Christmas. Like I'm not trying to be some Grinch, but I'm just trying to be an astrologer right now and just give it to you as I see it. Like, there are going to be issues with family, with Christmas. Hopefully not for you guys, but just watch what happens and listen to some stories from this Christmas, and you'll be like, oh my God, people's realities are getting shattered because of what? Like, a lot of families probably won't want to have certain people over because they didn't get something that they were told to conform to and get because of this belief of a societal value system with Uranus and Taurus. But of course, many of us don't. We didn't bite that story. So we're at a place here where it's like we have to illuminate for our mission, and then we have to find balance and nurturing as well. That's hard though with the Kritika energy that we're in right now with the North Node and Rahu. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult because we have to be like critical for our mission. Sharp, put together in Capricorn. Sharp and put together. Mercury will also square Neptune. I'm sorry, it'll sextile Neptune. And like I said, when I was talking about Venus and Pluto meeting at 25 degrees again, in the mystical part of Capricorn here, like this is the mystical part of the transformation. It's like, can you go in and see that value and that mysticism within you? And Mercury's going to sextile Neptune from Capricorn. Like our whole mind is in a place of a huge shift of value inward that can come out and be achieved. But we have to shatter our reality to do it. We have to take the road less traveled. We have to be courageous. And I think that Mars this week with a trine over to Chiron is really helping with that courageousness. And then let's look at Christmas Eve. This is the 24th. We get the exact square. Saturn, Uranus, 11 degrees. Pow! What an intense Christmas. And the craziest part to me, I think it's like funny, is we're going to see the moon for Christmas Eve and Christmas in Virgo. It's not like, moon in Virgo is not like fun. Like, I feel like with all the Capricorn energy we got and the moon in Virgo, everybody's going to feel like they're working. It will trine the sun, so it's got that going for it. But on Christmas, it's going to be opposing Neptune with Mercury starting to sextile that energy, and it will be in good aspects with a trine over to that moon too on Christmas. But Venus, Pluto are also conjunct in Capricorn. I mean, I think many of us are going to be purifying our life. Whether we're celebrating Christmas or not, we're purifying our reality and putting the work in still to achieve our mission spiritually. Because I think that that's more what we're coming into right now. Is like, are you going to achieve your spiritual mission that you feel that calling towards or not? I think most will. that I think that it's so strong right now, and there's such a deep impulse to do this, to listen to that calling, that I think that that's the magic in this week. Is just like people are going to be like, whatever deception shows out, the people that are already awake are just going to be like, bullshit, straight up. And they're going to be like, that's not part of my reality. That's not part of my story. That's not part of my environment. And I do not conform. And I make the radical shifts to break free from that. Jupiter at the critical degree of Aquarius, getting ready to come into Pisces and meet with Neptune next year. What a finish, you know? What a finish to 2021, and it's really setting the stage. And this was a crazy degree when rugs got pulled, so just be careful with travel. You know, have a backup plan. North Node Gemini it, you know, have backup plans. Be willing to make a change, pivot, whatever you need to do. Just plan things. And even that moon in Virgo, just plan things. Just, you know, Santa probably likes a moon in Virgo, you know, making a list, checking it twice. So we don't want to be overly critical, but I think it's going to be critical. People are going to be critical of people and the path that they're choosing, and, you know, the uniqueness of everybody. Some people don't want to accept everybody's uniqueness. So it's a very critical time. But then you're also seeing, you know, the beauty and the purity of the relationships and the people that are on the mission with you, and the people that see clearly and you know, are doing the dang thing, if you will. So also Mars quincunx Lilith, and then you know, all the Lilith oppositions to the sun pretty much all week, and the quincunx to Saturn that we'll see, and squares to Chiron. Like, there's just going to be so many fears around people feeling comfortable, especially with a Venus on Pluto all week and crossing it and making that exact hit again. So comfort's there, everybody. It really is, but we have to own it, know it, be tailored internally. We have to be strong right now in this journey. It's just not a time to give up or quit or be hard on yourself. This is a time to just suck it up and say, let's keep going, you know, whatever shows up in life. Like, definitely don't have high expectations. This isn't a time to expect the outer to just work out. If it changes, there's a radical just shift, we have to be able to just be tailored, put together inside, and we'll be good. And that's the hard part, is people are just going to be like, whatever shows up, it's going to be like, I can't feel comfortable. This is taking away my security. But it's all a trick. It's all an illusion. And if you see clearly, there's magic. Mystical sea goat stuff is happening for everybody. And I think that we're about to see our light just keep getting brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter, all the way up until, of course, the summer solstice, June 21st. So the next 6 months are going to be powerful for people who are going into their light, doing the work, especially in Capricorn season. It's one of the best times to do the work. Card for the week is the Nine of Swords. Gosh, you can't make this stuff up. Yeah, I mean, this week could feel like a nightmare for people. It could feel high anxiety. People could feel like they're losing it. Families could feel like split. It's not comfortable energy. But again, if we can be smart and see critically within our own self of how we can keep going, we can make huge progression, huge leaps. But gosh, we're going to have to... Fear comes up big time this week. Fear of letting things go. Fear of being judged. Capricorn is judgment. But this is where it's not about, you know, letting other people tear you down or judge you or care. Screw that. This is where you're the judge. You're the judge of your life. And that's all that matters. Judgment. This is the week of the judgment. This is the trumpet call. This is where people are waking up from the nightmare because they're listening to the calling and they're taking responsibility for it. And they're making the changes and the radical shifts to be in their truth, to start the new chapter. And this is where that's what we get. We have to trust in the calling. I'm not even going to pull any more cards because that's powerful in itself. And hey, I hope that this was helpful. I know it's not fun. I know. I'm sorry. I can't make this horoscope fun. It's a cold, serious time to be alive right now. But just because the outer world might do some cold shit, some dark, some scary, some fearful things, or that might show up in your home life, in your personal life, that does not mean that you are not worthy of something great, that you cannot follow the call, that you cannot make changes to have better. Like, this is a resurrection of souls that came here to change the world. And it's happening now. And I hope that you guys know that. And I hope that it's inspiring, and at least it's just helpful to know that if people start going crazy this week and into next year, you know that it was all part of the divine plan, all part of the divine order, so that the ones that could see through it and see clear in these times could do great things and help people and be of service for the highest good. And that's what I believe you guys, especially if you made it, 45 minutes into this, that's what you came here to do. And I truly believe that. I love you all so much. Take care. I'll see you every day this week. And Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Let's get up this mountain. We can do it together. I love you all. Peace.